a great job. And I know that because I see every repair that goes out, and when you're soaking things or beating things down or putting them in the sonic wash or anything crazy, things will go out and be built with corrosion in them, and that's not happening here. So good job. This is just a refresher. No, seriously, because I have hospitals that things are going down every day. So this is, you probably see a lot of these, your cordless driver, your System 8s or your cordless driver 8s. The biggest thing with these, if you can see through it, you can run water through it. If you look in it and you can't see through it, don't run water in it. But you know, all your chucks and all your collets, you can run water right through the bottom. When you get any of these chucks, you just want to make sure you pull back on the head when you're cleaning it, because there's all kinds of stuff that can get stuck in here. And so I always say, pull back the head, and if any of these things can spin, you know, spin them, because sometimes you see how these pop up. If you ever get something where it's halfway closed, it means there could be, you know, bioburn stuck in here. So just make sure when you're going through the chucks and the attachments that everything is open and that you've pulled on every collet. Same thing with here. You can run water right through it, but again, any sort of knob, I would say pull it out. And twist it and turn it and kind of just fully inspect it before putting it down to send through the wash. With these, I always give the analogy, you know, if you can take a wet rag, get it really soapy with your cleaner and rub it all over it, but it's sort of like a car wash. You would run your car through the car wash to get it clean, but you wouldn't drive it in a pond and leave it there for 5 minutes and pull it back out. So if one of these fall in the sink, just pick it back out. It is not the end of the world. It's okay, but at no point should it ever be left in the sink and walked away from. Same thing, this is going to have buttons on it. You know, push them both each way, pull the triggers. These drills, you can see through it, so you can run water down through it. The part you don't want to get a ton of water on is here where the battery connects to. And you know, this sterilization container is designed so that when it goes through the wash, the water is going to run down. It's not going to sit there and pool. Your other set here, you have a couple different Run B sets. You've got them for spine and for plastics. Biggest thing, and this was done great, these cords, how they're you want to just make sure you're looping them when you wrap them up, because there's about 50 little tiny cords in here. So shaking them out, and when you loop them up, just, you know, a loose loop, because at some point, if they get crinkled, the cords will start to not function properly, and then it'll short circuit in the room. And so just the biggest thing, like nice loose loops when you're, and just setting it, you know, down and in there. Your sag saw, again, this head will index if you pull out on it. You can pull out and rotate it, and you can push up. There's a button where you push up. We say we don't want you to use, do you have bristle brushes that you clean with? Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Because some accounts, they use pipe cleaners, the type that little pieces can fall off and then get locked in here, and then the blade doesn't seat properly. Obviously, if you ever get an item that comes down with a blade or a sharp, take that off first before you clean it. Hopefully they're not doing that. And hopefully they're spraying it in the room before they send it down to you all, so it's got something on it. Sometimes. That's always going to help make your job a little easier. With these, if you have compressed air at your station on your hand pieces that are blue in the bottoms, it's always nice to take the air and blow out as much as you can to get the moisture out, because these, if it sits in there, it kind of pulls in there if they lay straight in there. And that's when corrosion builds up, and then you put the contacts on it. It doesn't always run in the room. Again, hand switches, you just want to make sure that you're pulling everything out and sliding the safety back and forth to make sure that nothing is stuck in there. At no point should you ever be putting oil on these. Assuming you're not, because again, I probably get reports, then we send them in for service, there's stuff dripping out. I'm trying to think, are there any major questions?
I got one question. So
sure.
You can't immerse the guns, but you can immerse everything else on it?
No, you don't. Well, I'm going to say no, because if I say you can immerse certain things, the whole thing ends up underwater. So I'd rather err on the side of don't immerse any. If you want to go down and up, that's fine, but you know, releasing it, your hand should always be touching it if it's going under the water, because that's when people get distracted and then it ends up under the water and then someone walks away. Yeah, technically these are fine to go under the water for a longer period of time, but I just think we should err on the side of, you know, if you're gonna,
You're gonna do it. Don't
yeah,
do it.
right. You can get your rag nice and wet and just, you know, get it. That is fine, but immersing it or soaking it or leaving it is definitely not something. I mean, at some point we'd have to send the drill in for service.
Cause they be grossly sore with blood,
Yes.
and they spray the stuff on it, but it's still you got to really
Sure.
put some water on them
And that's okay.
before you put it in.
If you're putting a bunch of water and you're running it down the right way, that is okay. These are designed to get water, and they can get wet as long as they're not being dunked under and left there and, you know, scrubbed for 20 seconds under the water in that style. Then they're gonna end up in the room at some point, eventually failing and having to go in to get serviced, which is going to happen. These drills we're going on 4.5 years, so and they're holding up really well, and that's a testament to how they're cleaned, and I mean that. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.